August 19th, 2021, meeting start time of 7:17. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of Zoom meeting on July 17th and Zoom meeting on July 21st. A motion, please.
Just to clarify, Mr. Chairman, there was a Scribner's error there on the agenda, but it's the July 21st and June 17th, 2021 meeting minutes that I've
June
provided.
17th.
Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of the minutes of both the July 17th meeting and the June 17th meeting and the July 21st meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. A&R Land Court, we have one application for 22 and 26 North End Street. This is an application by Thomas and Judith Sinclair seeking to take 1,298 square feet from 26 North End Street and add it to lot at 22 North End Street, 26 North End Street to be 7,617 square feet, and 22 North End Street will be 5,956 square feet. A variance to subdivide the lot in exchange areas of land with relief of minimum lot and minimum lot frontage of lots 1 and 2 was voted on and approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals on July 19, 2021. Anybody here to present that?
I am. Mr. Chairman, my name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I represent the Sinclairs with respect to the presentation of this A&R plan. As the application that's been read, it is a very simple exchange of lots. My client owns both number 22 and number 22 and number 26 North End Street. Both of them are sort of back to each other. They were irregularly shaped, and we transferred land from one lot to another to provide a more even and something of a balance of these lots so that there'd be open space and recreation area behind the deck that is on one of the lots available. There'd be land available for some recreation. And the ZBA did give us the variance. I did file before the 20-day appeal period had passed, and now the 20-day appeal period has passed, and I could give you a copy of the variance for your file, which has the date stamp saying that appeal period has passed, and we would ask that you endorse our plan this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Ford.
Attorney Kelty, both these structures are numbered 22. Did you notice that?
The structures are non-conforming as to their location on the lots. Yes, that's true.
But they both have the number 22, not 22 and 26.
Oh. The one on the right is 26.
And that would be corrected before you filed?
Jack, on that question,
Yeah, the one on the right is what?
will that be corrected before you file?
And a little further. Correct. You got 22 and 26 up above and 22 and 22.
26.
Okay.
So yes, we will correct that.
And the reason for the variance?
To be able to make this exchange.
Okay. Because they're non-conforming. Is that correct?
The lots were non-conforming, but in order for me to be able to exchange the piece that's in the middle, I needed to get the variance to change the total square footage of each lot.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Just to clarify, do you want a Mylar that shows the 22 and 26, or do you, because the Mylar we have, actually I haven't checked, but I have to believe it has the same 22, 26, 22, 22. Yeah, so that's 22 and 22.
We signed that, is that able to be changed?
Have it changed before I record it. Yep.
And you could probably, you can just, which I don't think this will happen, but you could just put in your motion that the Mylar to be changed.
Okay, so that will be addressed. Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of an A&R plan of land in Peabody, Mass. Plan was prepared for Thomas and Judith Sinclair, and the plan was drawn up by George C. Collins, PLS, out of Charlestown. Have a second?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Yep. Attorney Arvanites.
Yes.
Mr. Ford. Mr. Simoes.
Yes.
Mr. Ginzali.
Yes.
Mr. Gagnon.
Yes.
Dr. Otto.
Yes.
Mr. Bencourt.
Yes.
Passes. Jack, there is no signature block on the Mylar.
Next order of business is site and building permit plan review, 68 Prospect Street.
Just to clarify, this was on the agenda as they had been at the last meeting, and they said that they would come back at a future meeting to discuss the revisions that they had been making, and with hopes of having the third-party reviews back. They do not have them back, but Attorney Kelty, who is representing the client, might be able to explain further. 68 Prospect Street.
I was told today that our review documents, peer review documents, might be ready as soon as the 6th, but I would be happy to supply you with any continuance that you need.
I don't believe a continuance is needed. It just, if that's the update, then that's the update. At the moment, we'll be awaiting then the third-party review.
I would respectfully request that with respect to 68 Prospect Street, that the planning board indulge the applicant with a continuance for the time for the board to act until I'll give you an extension. Our meeting is September 2 or 1? 2? So I would do an extension to September 9th.
Excuse
Have
me.
a motion,
Excuse me.
please.
Excuse me. Didn't you say that the peer review would be done by the 6th?
Next Tuesday, actually, we think that the peer review.
Okay. I thought you said the 6th, so I figured it was September 6th. It's not.
No.
Next week.
If I did, I misspoke.
Okay. Thank you. Something for Drew. The documentation still says 30 units. It's 32. So I think we should have everything proper.
Okay, that's just because that was the original advertisement in the agenda, but I'll add it for the next one, that it's not
Thank you.
32.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to allow the continuance of 68 Prospect Street. till September 2nd, Jack? The 9th? To September 9th.
Second.
Second, Dr. Otto. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is Baldwood Subdivision request for acceptance continued from the January 7th, 2021 meeting. Any new action?
A brief update is that I did receive an email from the applicant requesting an update. I reached out to the Department of Public Service, and I'm awaiting their response at the moment. I believe they will be, though, before us. They requested to be at the next meeting. Sorry, to clarify, the applicant has requested to be at the next meeting, so I will hopefully have a memo before then, or an update.
Next on the agenda is proposed Stonegate subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to receive a communication from Attorney Kelty in regards of Stonegate and extending the time until September 9th, 2021.
Second.
Second, Dr. Otto. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Drew, do you need this for the record?
Correspondence, Eastern Land Survey for Johnson Street. Any questions on that?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What does, is that a nursing home over there?
22 Johnson Street, if you remember correctly, is the building that is across the street from the old Kiley School. They had come before the board for a request to extend parking lot size in the front of it, and that they are now requesting, now that I'm thinking about are they requesting a minor change, I believe.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Should have been in there.
Drew, I was just wondering, what's the genesis for Eastern Land Survey's letter? Like, why was this written? Was there something they were unable to achieve as far as the original design? Do you have a background on?
Is it not in the packet, the letter?
The letter's here,
Okay.
but I just didn't know what came up that, it doesn't really speak of what the,
Just pull it up quickly.
unless I'm unable to read it correctly, it doesn't speak of what they encountered and why they needed to write this letter.
Went through the Conservation Commission and have completed that, and Lucia told me today that if I get her a hard copy of the final as-built plan, I will get our certificate of compliance. So we've built it in conjunction with their approval.
Also on the agenda is Eastern Land Survey Associates, Inc. on 45 Tremont Street. Any questions?
The 45 Tremont Street is a request for a modification. I would recommend that the board hold off on any vote regarding that modification, as there was a site plan review that was just filed for 49 Tremont Street, which is the abutting property, and I would recommend that they await to see that site plan before discussing 45 Tremont. So maybe that will be at the next meeting. So you can, if the board wishes, might want to continue that, understand the 49 Tremont Street, and then how this will react with that or interact with that. I don't believe you would need a motion on that, but if the board wishes to, they may.
I would move not to act on 45 Tremont Street at this time.
Second.
Yes, continue to the next meeting.
Second, Dr. Otto. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And Department of Any questions from the board on 128 Newbury Street?
I have a question. Through the chair. Is Mr. Kelty represent this? Which one? Circle Storage? No. Out behind,
I do have that, yes.
yes. There's a, I don't know.
That is
50
the
50
site that's called 0 Newbury Street, is behind, it's a piece of land behind Don's Power, which used to be there. Don has since sold his land. And the Casino Restaurant, the Casino obtained a permit to do,
No, this is Circle Storage over by Race.
it's behind
Race Drive.
Casino.
No, this is at the corner of Winona and Route 1.
Not mine.
That's not you, Circle Storage?
Jack, this is 128 Newbury. It's the one that's got the long strip of land that goes out to Newbury Street, right near.
The Carusos?
Behind.
Okay, that's what we're talking about.
That is mine.
Did,
So that's behind Peterson's and,
Yes,
yes, it's
sir.
a large tract of land, yes.
Right, there's about 50 or 60,
to clarify,
items.
this is, if you remember correctly, this was brought before the board. I forget the exact date, but when this board approved it, they approved it contingent on satisfaction and/or review of Department of Public Services. The Department of Public Services had not reviewed it yet. This is Mr. Politz's review of that in the list of items that would need to be satisfied
Right.
for a building permit.
well, my recollection was that when we approved this, it was two buildings, a very large building and a relatively small building. And I'm not sure if I read it in these documents or I read it in the newspaper or heard something, but is this now 5 buildings instead of 2? Because if it is, then I assume that that would have to all come here and
Back
get
to you.
reapproved.
With the last plan that you have as being submitted, I did understand that there was some talk about what you're referring to, of breaking down the buildings and adding, but I don't know that anybody ever, I can check with the Engineers Alliance, Rick Salvo, and see where we are. I
Okay.
knew that we needed to do soil samples. We needed to remove some fill in order to do those soil samples, and I know that took them forever, and they finally did get to that point. But I will review the issue that you're suggesting to me now, because I would agree that it would need to come back before the board.
Yeah, so I guess all I'm saying is if that is indeed true, that the plans are going to change and the number of buildings and footprints and all this, then all of this is moot. Because this references the other plan.
My opinion, I'm not an engineer, but it seems to me these studies cover the land, not what's going to be built on it.
Well, they do, but 5 buildings take up different footprints than one big one and one little one.
Right, but there's issues in here about water, quality of the soil, possibly contaminated soil. There's nothing in here about buildings, except that
Right, but
soil that's there
we
is not...
approved, yeah, but we approved something for 2 buildings contingent on getting this.
In here, it mentions that soil is not suitable for a foundation. It will not support a foundation, so that's in here, too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Roy, and I appreciate, Jack, you saying that you'll come back before us, because if, I would feel more comfortable, because if memory serves me, that was at least 2 to 3 years ago. I feel like we were under duress that evening to approve it, because the applicant was telling us that they would lose their funding if we didn't give them a contingent approval that night, and, you know, I'd feel more comfortable if it came before us again without a rush, and if what Roy's hearing is correct, that it's potentially more buildings or so on and so forth, then, you know, Drew, I don't know how long our conditional approval is, if it has an expiration date or not, but it's been a while.
Well, just to clarify, Attorney Kelty came before the board. They received that conditional approval. Then Attorney Kelty had come back later, there was an A&R that was filed for that part of the lot that was endorsed by the board. And then while at that meeting, Attorney Kelty had mentioned that there'll be revised plans and had shown a set of hand-drawn revised plans at the time and saying that this would be what we were looking to do and that the property would be getting smaller, or potentially, I believe there's 4 buildings that was originally shown, coming back as two, I believe it was 2 larger buildings, but had not filed anything and had been mentioned at that meeting that you would need to come back if anything was to be filed. So I would say that the opinion here tonight that this would need to come back is true. And I would also like to hold a construction review probably to receive departmental feedback as well on anything that changes up there.
There was also a strip that got a land swap or a transfer to the Petersons, but almost as if it was an adverse possession kind of a thing, because he'd been using it for years, for decades.
That's correct. And it was, that exchange, there was no exchange. Peterson was on the receiving end, and the owners didn't receive anything. But yes, it was an area that Peterson had been occupying and his predecessors in title had been occupying for well over 20 years. So in order to avoid a claim of adverse possession in the litigation, we gave him the land.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, other matters properly before the board?
Mr. Chair, earlier last week, I received from Stacy Burnson, Assistant Director of Planning, a packet in regards to our city's inclusionary zoning, and she wished me to pass it out to everybody. It provides some feedback and information in regards to the city's inclusionary zoning, which she would like everybody to review, and she had mentioned that she could be available if anybody would like to attend a meeting and answer any questions if the board so chooses.
At this time, I'll accept a motion. Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second by Dr. Otto. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you all, gentlemen, for your time, and ladies.